Hello, I'm Emily Powell, an energy healing practitioner and functional trainer, and coming to you with a really cool relationship tool. It's called Fair Fighting, and I really love it because I love to be empowered and use my creation and creative abilities and my agency and choice in my life and in my relationships and what I'm creating together in my relationships. And I bet you do too. So this tool is really awesome for that. The premise is around making decisions. How do you make a decision with another person when they're involved? Well, there's lots of different options. One option is that one person just makes all the decisions and the other person has to do it. Just go with it. Whatever decisions person A makes, person B has to do them. Even if they're activities that both people do together, if it's activities that person A does or person B does, all decisions are made by person A. So there's an option, but person B doesn't get a chance to use their creative genius and abilities and their agency and the ability to tune into their system and see what they would like to create and bring to the table. So in this exercise of fair fighting, both people get to stand in empowerment and create together. So here it goes. If one person has a need or a change or a decision they'd like made, then they can recommend it to the other person and say, hey, I noticed this decision, this situation, this choice. I would like us to do this. What do you think? And then the other person gets to say yes or no. And yes or no are both equally safe and equally welcome. There's no coercion, there's no force, there's no rejection based on which answer you give. You have full freedom to give either answer. But if you say no, then you have to give a new recommendation. And then you go back and forth until there is a recommendation created that both people can agree on. So if in a relationship person A says, hey, I would love to spend more time together. I would love to spend time together 4 evenings every week. And if the other person B experiences, wow, I right now I'm in a time crunch for this or this program or project, and that would not fit for me. That would not be a good fit. I would feel cramped, overextended, and like I have to sacrifice my sleep and my health in order to make that happen. So person B can say, that wouldn't work for me. How about, and then they give a new recommendation, how about we spend more time together and we spend 2 evenings together a week? Person A can say, yeah, that would be great, yes. Or they can say no. If they say, I don't think that's gonna work for me. I really feel like it'd be important for us to spend more time together. Then they can give an alternative. Okay, what about if we spend 2 evenings together a week and we also do our exercise time together twice a week, during the afternoon, during lunch break or something. Then person B has a chance to say yes or no. And if they say no, they come up with a new suggestion and they go back and forth. So the beauty of this is it's safe and it's okay to not be the same person with the exact same preferences and needs and desires and life situation. It's perfectly okay that we're all different and we all have different needs, and at different times our needs are not going to line up with other people. And when we feel forced by another person to do something that is bad for us, is going to harm us, that we're not set up to be able to do and thrive with, it's just going to create resentment, and also blocking. It can create blocks within our own system and shut down our own creativity, passion, connection with our own heart, connection with our own system, in connection with life, and connection with other people. So this tool is fantastic. You can use it for anything. Or a classic one, sharing toothpaste in your family or in your partnership. One person squeezes it, the other person likes to roll it up to the top. You can go back and forth finding if there's a fit that's going to fit for both people. If the person who squeezes it is like, oh yeah, I don't mind rolling it, I just hadn't ever thought of that, so I'd be happy to do that. Or I probably will forget anyway. So if we buy one of those little rolly contraptions that you put on and you slide up, then it'll be right there and it will remind me each time, and I'm fine to roll it, I don't mind. Or if you can't agree, then you can buy 2 toothpastes and each have your own. Now there can be a lot of creativity added into this situation, because when we're feeling forced and we're going to need to either surrender our power, block off our heart, be filled with resentment. If we're in a power struggle, there's all kinds of consequences, and a lot of our system's energy will go into fighting back and like pushing back, and even after the conversation, there can be a lot of that going on for a while. So this is fantastic because you can be in a space of creativity, and in that space of creativity, you can even come up with other things. One person would like to go on more vacations, and the other person says like, well, so far we've only set a plan for making this many vacations this often be able to happen. So at the moment I don't feel comfortable with just agreeing to go on more vacations unless we have a plan for it. So they could go back and forth, and they might get creative, and who knows what ideas they could come up with of, if one of our kids mows the lawn on the weekends instead of me, then me doing overtime that I'm scheduled to do every third week of the month or every third week wouldn't be so exhausting if I didn't also need to mow the lawn on Saturday. I'd have more energy left over for us to accomplish more of our goals at home, which would make us all more energized, and we'd spend less money on eating out. And so we'd easily have that money we could reallocate towards going on more trips. So the solutions being suggested can also include creative ideas that are outside of the topic discussed, of maybe going back to the first example, person A and B would have more time to be able to spend together if person B gets some extra help with the yard work that they're working on or the project they're doing in the garage. And that can be easy, like, we'll get 5 people together for 1 hour on a Saturday afternoon, and we'll just be able to finish that project in 1 or 2 weeks, and then that won't continue taking up so much of person B's time. They have more time available to spend together with person A. So we can get super creative, and it brings out our creative abilities and collaboration instead of a power struggle and force and resentment. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about that. I loved learning that tool, and it's made a huge difference in switching out of the experience of seeing the possibilities limit when I come up with an idea and it's not a good fit for other people, to seeing that there's always options. There are always options. And when we get our creativity on board and other people's creativity on board, it just opens up our eyes to even more possibilities than we had access to before.